Monica from Seamstresses for Safety, and tonight I am joining you to go through our second pattern. This pattern is a mask with a nose piece along with a pocket, and the pocket is really the key factor here. And I'm actually going to take our pattern and show you in video form how you can alter it slightly to save yourself some time if you do not want to add the wire nose piece. So let's go ahead and get through both of these patterns together. We're going to sew them side by side so you can see which steps we're going to alter just a slight bit. All right, so for this pattern, we are going to use a little bit different fabric than our first one. The first pattern is without a pocket, and we use 3 pieces of material. So we kind of sew in a liner. This one is going to allow for a pocket, and that is going to allow whoever's wearing it to add a filter of their own, whether it's a piece of vacuum filter or even something like Kleenex or a maxi pad. They can put something within the pocket and give themselves a little bit more reassurance of having that extra protection. So both of the versions that I'm going to show you tonight of this pocket pattern is the same start with fabric, obviously. So this is going to be a 7.5 by 15 sheet, and you only need one. And the reason we only need one is that we are going to be putting something else inside of it, so we don't have to worry about additional layers. So they're both going to start out the same as far as that goes. And for both of the versions tonight, we are going to use elastic, but you can certainly, just like the pattern explains, is you can replace the elastic with 4 separate straps. So however this works well for you, definitely a very flexible, workable pattern. All right, so the first thing that we're going to start with is the same. No matter which version you decide to follow along with, they're both, the starting point is the same. So what I'm going to do is simply open up these and fold over just slightly. So maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch, and I'm going to seam the short side. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video and get those done for you. Okay, so as you can see, both of the pieces of fabric look exactly the same at this point. Now this is where we are going to fold them, and we're going to do things a little bit different with each version. The first version I'm going to show you is going to be a full fold in half. So we're going to do something like this, and then we are going to stitch just 1.5 inches or so, maybe even up to 2 inches in, and 2 inches in from where we have those seams together. So let me go ahead and do that really quickly. Just gonna go, I'm gonna say this is about 7 inches across. So let's go 2 full inches. Back stitch a little bit there, and then just bring it on over and do the same on this side. And then we'll set this one aside. On the second version, instead of folding them together, what we're actually going to do is kind of a third. So I'm going to bring one up here, and I'm going to fold one over so that they are overlapping slightly. So just like this. So I can see my first seam is here, and then I'm going to fold this back over so that there is an overlap. And when I sew this, I'll be sewing it when I'm ready to attach my elastic or string. So we're just going to keep this one right where it is and pin this shut. Kind of hold those 3 layers in place together. Okay, so that one is ready for the elastic already, which is really great. Now this one here, we already did our stitching here. So we have stitched across, and now you'll notice that there is a little opening. So what I want to do here is to open this flat like a tube, and I'm going to slide this and roll it here. And this is the pattern that includes the nose wire. So this is really what you're going to be seeing on the actual instruction sheet, is this version a little bit more complex. And you'll see in the picture, it'll show that we can see the opening right here. Okay, so we're just going down a little bit. I'm actually going to roll it up just a slight bit more. And we want to make sure that this lays flat. This is definitely a point in which you could iron just to get yourselves, because we've rolled it, just to get it a nice flat edge. But I tend to just be a pinner and hold things and twist things around because I like to save some time. So now that we're here, we have these two versions. One is going to be just a pocket, and one is going to be a pocket with an optional nose wire. So we have both of our outsides here. The ugly side is out, which is our time now to stick in our elastic. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both of these real quickly, and just exactly as we've shown you in the grids, we're going to just put these in all four corners. Just like that, and then we'll stretch it across here. I'm going to undo my pin here for just a second to stretch this across on the inside. And if you're doing 4 separate straps, you could of course do that as well. Pin that into place. And we'll do that on all 4 corners, so we'll have 2 elastics again for each mask. So I'll go ahead and get these pinned and ready to be sewn, and then we'll talk about where exactly we're going to stitch these. All right, so we have our pocket only with the elastic pinned inside. We've got the overlapping flaps here, so they're overlapping almost in thirds. And what we're gonna do here is just simply stitch down and stitch down right over the top of that and closing those up. On this version here, which is gonna be our nose piece and pocket, we're going to basically just do the same thing by stitching here, and then we'll flip both of these inside out. So let's go ahead and speed things along, and you can see the finish here in just a second. All right, so let's go ahead and flip these inside out. So this one here is our just pocket. We're gonna go ahead and flip this out, and you're just gonna pull your 4 corners of elastic here. And if you do use string, you'll have the 4 different ties coming out instead. And you'll notice that this basically looks like a giant pillowcase where we could open this up and then put in any sort of extra filter system. So that's gonna be how that one works. And of course we are gonna pleat these. I'll show you that at the end, but that mask besides pleating is pretty much done. This version here is going to have your opening here at the top, so you're gonna have to do a little more wiggle room. Go ahead and just pull it out like we did the other one and get it straightened out into its square. Just like this. And what you'll notice here is that you've got a little bit of, you probably be a little bubbling up here because unless you've ironed this shut, but the significance of this particular mask is so that you can insert a wire up here in this open seam. So the idea is that you can take a small twist tie or some sort of coated wire. I even thought about those little kids things that I can't think of the name of them, pipe cleaners that would have a little bit of fuzz on them that we could cut out and put inside this little nook. And then what you would do is once that little piece of wire is in there, you can just hold this down and then stitch across. The issue that you have to be careful of is as you stitch that shut, you want to make sure that this piece stays open, because this is ultimately how they're going to get inside to be able to put their additional filter systems. Okay, so that's the 2 different versions of this pocket style, and I want to go ahead and just reiterate the way that you do the pleats in order to finish these off. Now with this larger one, you'll definitely be fine getting your 3 pleats in with no problem, but sometimes on the smaller ones, you may want to just do 2 pleats, whatever works for you. The tighter the better, so if you can get 3, it's good to squish them in. This is our pocket only version. I'm going to go ahead and just finish up those last stitches. You can choose to go all the way around, but it's really not necessary. Really, you just have to go ahead and get those pleats zipped up. So let's go ahead and do that. And I do know that these look a little bit small when they are pleated together, but that's kind of what we want. And that's why we just pin them on the ends so that when they are on the face, they're actually closed up to the face as much as possible. So that's why we try to get those 3 pleats in there if we are able to, and that way when they are stretched out, which they will be this way, it'll still give lots of good coverage to the face, but it will hold it tight here. Okay, so this one is all set, and all we'd have to do then is to find a filter of some kind, And we can at least, if nothing else, we can be making these and sending them, and then the nurses and doctors can choose what they can want to put in it to make themselves have a little extra barrier. So this version, the easier version, is completely done at this point, minus a little bit of trimming, and I hope that that helped. Just know that there is an easy way to use that version that does not include the nose piece. Okay, so for the nose piece option, as I showed you here earlier, we've got this little flap. So what I have is some floral wire, and this was all I have for wire. So I am just gonna go ahead and twist this back up on itself a little bit. So it has some, a good amount of wire here, but it's not gonna have any majorly raw edges. So I'll just go like that and have nice rounded points here on the end. This is why I think some of that pipe cleaner would be kind of cool if you had some of that. Just make sure you don't have anything poking. Okay, and I know some people were also using twist ties, which is also very, very novel as well. So we're gonna go ahead and tuck this up inside here, and you wanna make sure you don't hit this with your needle. So just get that right up inside that edge. Make sure when you get this in here that you have that bottom pocket open, because you would not want to show this mask shut and not have your pocket. So right along there, as nice as you can. I think I'm stuck here. There we go. Okay. So that's going to be stuck in there, and you'll be able to see that we'll be able to form this now, so we can have that little extra protection around the nose. But before we are finished with this, we have to do the same thing as with the others. We're going to go ahead and take these pins out and zip on right down all of these 3 pleats. I'm just going ahead and going around just to get to my other side here and getting a little seam on that bottom. I definitely don't think you have to go all the way around, especially because this version is a folded version. But that's kind of a finishing touch if that's what you, if you want to do that. I think it's a good thing. All right, and then we'll kind of finish right there at the wire. Let's go ahead and back stitch this bit. Okay. And so now we've got not only a pocket in here for that extra filter, we've also got that nose piece to go ahead and get that formed around the face a little better. So again, same pattern that is going to be posted in our announcements, but a video to help you walk through both of those options. We'll see you guys soon, and thanks again for all the sewing that you've done. We are so excited to be able to help out during this time, and we appreciate you being a part of it.